All right, welcome back. Episode 16 of the AI Code Central podcast. We've got Connor in house. It's the middle of the week, so we're doing a education style video. And what are we talking about today, Connor? And what will listeners learn by the end of this?
Yeah, today is all about. This is actually my favorite topic. This is like my bread and butter. This is all about email marketing 101. So some foundational stuff when it comes to email marketing, but really just how to build your lead generation magnet, get people into the funnel, how you nurture them, basically how you would set that up, whether it's a pop up or just a embedded unit, and then the emails that follow, and really simple setup steps like that.
Okay, cool. Before we jump into that, it is the middle of the week. We haven't recorded in roughly a week or so. You haven't been on. What's new in your world?
Man, what's new in my world besides being busy, colder weather, all that stuff? Actually, I'm really happy about it, right? Like, are you like a fall guy, a summer guy?
Oh, yeah. I grew up playing competitive hockey, so I am all about the cold weather.
That's right. You're all about the hockey. So the colder weather. So you're like more winter.
Love it.
The fall.
Well, so I'll play hockey fall to like maybe early spring, and then I do mountain biking too, like downhill or dirt jumping or.
Yeah, I know you do all like the extreme mountain biking stuff. So hockey season starts now, kind of, or starting to get into it.
About 2 weeks. Yeah, actually, I was talking to a buddy last night on the phone. I used to play hockey with. I should start stretching because I play goalie, so like loosen up the hips.
Yeah, man, you're getting up there in age. You gotta, make sure you're limber and loose.
So, yes.
I'm just kidding.
You love the cold weather.
No, I'm all about it. But anyway, so, past week, I mean, not much of anything. Actually, no, my wife and I just went to Newport, Rhode Island last weekend. Absolutely loved it. Beautiful place. If you haven't been, highly recommend. Although I know it's a little far for you. Besides that, what did we go for?
Yeah. Is she from there?
No. It was a quick trip for us. We're right in New York City, so it's about 3-4 hour drive. It was a nice quick weekend getaway. Had never been up there, and I love anything by the water, by the ocean. So, I'm all for it. Seafood, lobster rolls, all that stuff. So they had all that. It was a great time. So again, highly recommend it if you ever get the opportunity. Besides that, what else is going on in my world? I'm watching the Mets absolutely obliterate the 22 or 21 game lead they had earlier this summer for like first place.
Really?
Or it was 21 games over 500. For anybody who knows baseball, that's insane. It's like great to be 21, 22. Yeah, it's insane. And now they are like 6 games over 500, 2 games from almost being out of the playoffs with like 12 games left to play in the season. The Mets were pretty much like a guaranteed playoff spot this whole year, and they have 12 games left, and it doesn't look likely. And I'm just, they've literally done nothing except make their team better from last year to this year. I don't want to get too into it, but it's been a very frustrating, past couple of months as a Mets fan. And the last week, I'm just biting my fingernails watching every single game. So as a big sports enthusiast, I know you love your Avalanche. Yeah, I'm sure you can relate. They've probably given you some tough times here or there, but the Mets absolutely are the bane of my existence at this point in time. I can't. And on top of it, I'm a Cowboys fan too. Don't ask why, don't ask how. It's a weird story. Well, it's not a weird story, but I just love sports teams that just love to upset me in the end. So that's kind of where I'm at.
They're kind of floundering, huh? Okay, so with that in mind, what's your take on the Philly Karen?
Well, the Philly Karen, all Philly folks are Karens in my opinion, first and foremost. I think Philly, all due respect to Philadelphia as a city, it's a fine place, but Philadelphia in general, just no thanks. I'm okay on that. And really, like, I'm sure you've seen the video, right? Like of her taking the ball.
Yeah.
Who does that? What a terrible person. Taking it away from a kid. Yeah, it's just an awful thing to do. Like, let the kid enjoy his moment. Who cares? Like, you didn't have the ball. It's an open stadium. Like, you didn't catch it and then someone ripped it out of your hand. Like, it was right in front of you. Yeah. No reason to do what you did, but all the backlash that she's getting, it's like, listen, she got what was coming to her. My take on it is she's totally in the wrong, not just because she's a Philly fan or was wearing a Phillies jersey, but more so because it's just, don't do that. Give the kid a ball, right? Like, let the kid have the ball from the game.
Yeah, get over yourself. I was listening to a podcast where one of the hosts, a hockey podcast, but one of the hosts was like, yeah, I saw this new angle. It was posted on Reddit of while the lady was in the guy's face chirping him and the guy was handing over the ball, the wife was literally filing divorce papers from the dad. Like, I was like,
are you serious?
That's brutal. That is brutal.
Oh, man.
Yeah, tough luck for her, but she's got what's coming for her. Or she will. Or I mean, yeah, just don't be a
She's
dick.
been blown up all over social media, man. Like my entire feed, because I saw it, and my entire feed has just been people like blasting her for what she did. And then again, rightfully so. I mean, that's just terrible. Yeah. You don't do that.
Anyway,
we digress.
Yeah, my world. Went to the mountains. I went up. I was telling a friend this before we jump into this tutorial. This is very important. Finally got up there. There is a particular trail that I've been doing. It's pretty gnarly. Like it's a double black, and there's one feature at the very end that I've
double black
riding
it just
around.
Sounds so extreme. Double black.
Double black. Yeah.
Right.
Was that from like Harold and Kumar? So fucking extreme.
Yeah. Where they carry the canoe or the kayak in the store and they knock everything over. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Yeah, it's like that. I was like, all right, I'm just gonna do this. I'm gonna stomp it. I'm gonna stop being such a Sally about it. My two buddies I rode down first. I stopped to the side of it, even though you're not supposed to. There's like kind of a beat down path. So my two buddies, they're both are pros, and they did it. And I was like, it's not that bad. And I just went up, and I was like death gripping when I did.
Yeah.
Step down. Oh, that's not so. It's the classic. If you ski or snowboard, right? It's like you just build it up in your head, and you do
all a mental thing, man. It's all mental. So
it's not that bad. Like you literally just float. You go up, you take off here, and you land down here. But it's like a big. It's not even that bad. So
I'd say it's all mental. Meanwhile, if I did it, I'd be like hyperventilating and probably I don't know.
Like my hands were shaking. I mean, my hands. I was literally like that afterwards. But it was a great feeling to drive up on the interstate the entire way. That's all I could think about. Is Cruel and Unusual. It's the name of the trail, Cruel and Unusual. It's like all I could think about. Cruel and Unusual. So,
but then once you were done, did you want to go like back up and like was it like little kid syndrome where you're like, oh, I want to do it again now?
I'll do it faster. I'll throw a whip over.
Yeah.
Yeah, but you can't go backwards. You're not supposed to. There's like 10 people in the entire park. It was a Thursday at 11 a.m. So there's like nobody there.
That's awesome. That's the best time to go then.
That was cool. Finished building the app. We're building. We'll be getting into. I would think it's beta testing here pretty soon, right? With our app.
I would imagine so. I mean, for as far as you said you've gotten with it and what we've looked at, I think next couple episodes we can really start diving into that and kind of just seeing what's under the hood and start beta testing it live with everybody on here and all that stuff. But I know you've taken it kind of to the next couple of levels in terms of the iterations you've done. So I wouldn't see why not.
So it's called Campaign Pilots. It's basically brain dump between my expertise, Connor's expertise into an app, and it reads, analyzes, and recommends steps forward from your campaign. So it reads a GA4, Search Console, SEMrush, Ahrefs, Screaming Frog, like whatever it is, and then
what we should do is I'm actually about to use it on a few other clients that I work with right now for some Google ad analysis and maybe even go through some of that just to see what the output looks like.
Yeah, we should. Yeah.
Just to kind of show everybody what that looks like too. Again, kind of just use case of the building and what the output looks like.
How long do you spend on client reports? 4 hours? 4 or 5 hours?
Yeah, I mean, depending, right? It's like if it's a big GA4 report, it's at least 3 to 4 hours, right? It's like just going through all of the session traffic, then breaking it down by the channel, and then the source medium, the comparisons to month over month or year over year. It's all client dependent too. Some of them want super detailed analysis. Some of them, you send it to them and they just say, I have no idea what this means. So it's like they don't know what they're looking at anyway, and you're just doing a report for yourself at that point. But it's at least 3 to 4 hours when you're doing it regardless, right? So this is a huge time saver for that, and I'm just looking forward to being able to utilize it for all the reporting I do, which is at least 10 a month, if not more than that. So 40 hours is going to be winded down to probably no more than 10 to 12 hours, which is again, even 30 hours a month is huge, right? Not just in terms of expense, but just my time in general.
And you get like a better sense of the data. So that's what I've been dialing in. Agents is dialing in the agent mode. All of that. It's pretty exciting, pretty cool stuff. So it's completely tailored to data. It's built by digital marketers. So that's good. So that's where we're at. Let's jump in. So first and foremost, why does email matter for AI apps?
Yeah, I think we kind of touched on this too in a few previous episodes, right? This is more so about kind of the build it, they will come mindset of most people who are building an app or even a website, right? And sure, you can build something that fits a niche or fits a need for somebody, but if you're not ready to launch or you are just launching, how do you start getting people into the funnel, right? And that's either through a sign up unit on your website. It could be a pop up. It could be an embed. Like, you have to think about, how do you first get people informed of what it is that you're doing? Or again, how do you get them into the funnel to start nurturing them again before launch, when you launch, post launch, if you roll out new products, et cetera. And this all starts with email marketing, right? It's not just relying solely on people signing up for the actual product and purchasing. It is very reliant on, again, something as simple as a quick sign-up unit for a first name and an email, or maybe just an email address in most cases. So stressing the importance of that and just getting to capture that data and that information to push people into the funnel to then start communicating with them, again, about the importance of your application, of your service, the value you bring to them, depending also on where they are in the funnel, is really where email marketing comes into play. And my personal opinion is, I think it's, a lot of people's take on is that email marketing is kind of this antiquated, very traditional, even though it's digital, it's this very traditional method of marketing. But a majority, if not all of the clients I work with, especially those that attribute revenue to email marketing, it makes up about 25 to at least 30%, if not more, than their bottom line, right? That's if there's revenue numbers tied to it. So think of it in that perspective. If it's not revenue attribution and it's more about lead attribution, the lead attribution is enormous. It's at least 70 to 80% of where their lead attribution comes in, right? It's all from their pop-ups or their embedded forms on their website, or in some capacity, one way or another, somewhere where they have it interconnected to their email platform or their CRM. So it's paramount to have these things set up, and it's not that difficult to do. So again, when you're going in, setting up your website, getting your analytics put on there, email is probably one of those primary things you also want to think of. And again, instead of having the data just sit somewhere in terms of all of the emails for all of your users or all of your potential users or people who are interested, get them put into an email system. So even if you're not communicating right away, you eventually have the opportunity to start emailing them and, again, nurturing them based on where they are in the funnel. So yeah, definitely something that you want to consider.
Gotcha. Okay. And then will you be showing us like a walkthrough? Like, how does that work?
I think I'll kind of like walk through, some simple 101 stuff. I'm going to use MailChimp in this case. It's a really simple platform. I think this is the one everybody knows about. You've heard of MailChimp?
Yeah. So like, I know nothing about email marketing because I always just ask you. So like, what's the difference between MailChimp and, like, I've heard of Klaviyo and like ActiveCampaign.
Yeah.
And Hive, something like Beehive or something.
Beehive. So they all have their different quirks, right? And bells and whistles. And listen, some are specifically built for e-commerce. Some are specifically built for editorial content and websites that are just based on content, right? Some are built for hybrid models. Some are built just for AI and applications, right? So if you are an AI application and your goal is to just say generate, let's call it application downloads, right? Like you're on the App Store, iOS Store, and the Google Play Store, right? And that's all you really care about, is getting those types of downloads. Obviously, your method of communication with your users is going to be mostly what? Push notifications and probably SMS, right? Email will definitely be mixed in there. There's a certain email platform out there called, or CRM really, it's not just email, Braze. And that would be a big recommendation if you are a mobile application first program, right? Because again, it allows you the opportunity to use cross channels, again, email, SMS, and push notifications to communicate with your users. If you are just e-commerce, right, and you come up with a product and all you are worried about is revenue and sales, I would use something like Klaviyo. It's really geared towards that. It integrates very nicely with e-commerce setups such as Shopify and WooCommerce. I know that's a little bit of an outlier here for a lot of the AI stuff that's being produced these days, but in some cases not. If you're more worried about editorial, content-oriented stuff, then I would move over to something like Beehive, which really caters to newsletters, newsletter signups, lead generation in that capacity, because it's also very SEO friendly and optimized towards not just generating newsletter content in an email format, but also generating newsletter content that actually lives on your website and is also pushed out there to the web, so that people who are searching for anything specific to the type of content you produce, it's visible on the web and can be found organically through Google searches or, just general searches online. So MailChimp, again, it's a really, really simplistic example. This kind of covers some of the more simple stuff. You could use it for e-commerce. You can use it for newsletters. You couldn't use it necessarily for something like a mobile application in this instance. But again, this is the really simple setup. And I would recommend something like a MailChimp for somebody who is just starting their website from scratch, really just wants to generate some leads or at least collect some customer data. So even for you, Charlie, right, with campaign pilots, right? If you're not ready to roll out yet, but you still want to find out who's interested in learning when campaign pilots rolls out, I would sign up for MailChimp and produce a sign up unit that you embed on the website and put something as simple as want to know when campaign pilots is live, provide your first name, last name, and email here, and we'll send you an email when everything's ready to go, right? Like something as easy as that. You don't need to make it any more complicated. That all makes sense so far? Kind of the way in which I'm saying it?
Okay. Yeah. Okay. So we're looking at MailChimp here.
Yeah.
And okay, where are we going here?
Before I really hop in MailChimp too, again, it's like I should have gone here first and just shown you kind of the email sign up funnel. And thanks to Claude AI, they were able to just kind of build this really quickly, as well. So the email sign up funnel, again, it's a landing page or a home page visit. Your email form interaction. I'll show you how we build something as simple as an email form that can get embedded on a page or live on its own page.
Okay.
Form completion. Typically, they get a confirmation email or a follow-up email and then an email verification, and then they're sent right into your system. And we can build this all out today. And the follow-up to this gets a little bit more advanced, but that's where you typically want to follow it up with an email automation of maybe 1, 2, or 3 emails that, again, starts nurturing that user based on where they signed up from. And I think for this use case, this is a brand new MailChimp account. I haven't used much with it, but I want to use campaign pilots as the example here because it's just a really good one to use right now. So, for example, if we want to go into a MailChimp and we want to build out a form, go ahead.
And by the way,
ask away.
So let's say that, is there risk? Okay, so we're building this for campaign pilots. We're on MailChimp.
Yep.
What if I see like a short or like a YouTube video with like ActiveCampaign and ActiveCampaign does A, B, and C? Like, would it be worth migrating from MailChimp to ActiveCampaign for any reason? Or is there risk in that? Or is it just safer just to stick with MailChimp?
No, not necessarily. No, I think, again, I'm just using MailChimp as the use case example. One, because it's a really easy platform. It's super cost effective and it serves the need to at least collect the emails and the first name, last name, and like your basic information that you want. But for something like an ActiveCampaign, which is a bit more robust, ActiveCampaign is going to give you the potential to do a lot more with your email collection and your data collection. And it also integrates with a lot more programs as you move forward, right? So like it integrates really nicely with Google Ads, with Meta. It integrates nicely with website builders. Not saying MailChimp doesn't, it's just not nearly as robust. So migration isn't ever an issue, but if you want to start off simple, again, in terms of just collecting leads and just general data collection, I think you go with a MailChimp. And then as you start learning the process and how email systems and CRMs work, you can eventually graduate to something more robust like an ActiveCampaign.
Okay. So in other words, validate the idea, get customers.
Exactly right. That's a good way to put it.
Is like, don't worry about the provider, really. Just validate the idea, get customers, and when you scale, then you can jump into something more robust.
Spot on. That's a great way to put it. It's really validate it. Once you start getting leads, seeing them come in the system, then you can, right? You're getting some validation there, and then you can move over. And another thing I'll kind of add to that, listen, a lot of these ESPs, these platforms, they're not all that different. And if any are easy to learn, MailChimp's probably like your 101. So if you can learn MailChimp and figure your way around it, you'll be able to go into any other platform and really start figuring your way around it in terms of the basics and then start learning the additional bells and whistles, right? So starting with a 101 like MailChimp gives you the basic understanding of how email platforms work. And then as you kind of graduate your way up to something that's a bit more sophisticated, like an ActiveCampaign or a Klaviyo or Salesforce or a HubSpot, those are really your top tier CRMs. You're going to have the general knowledge that you need in order to at least operate them at a functional level. So again, I think something really simple. Again, it's all about form creation. So something in here, again, most of these emails are going to be the same, and you're going to be able to create a few different kinds of forms. In this case, they immediately tell you if you want to create a pop-up form, or you can create another kind of form, right? A hosted form. I actually have one here. This is for my old site, but we can just click create new form, and you can do an embedded one. They'll actually host a specific landing page for you, or you can create a pop-up form, depending on what you want it to look like, right? for the sake of something like Campaign Pilot, and again, I'm not going to have you open up the site or anything, but I would suggest doing something like an embedded form if you're trying to do pre-signups, right? Or even a pop-up.
Yes.
Right?
Yeah, just something that is as little friction as possible.
Exactly right. As little friction as possible is the exact way to put it. Campaign Pilot.
So like 2 clicks and you type 5 words.
Correct. The audience right now, again, this is my agency right now, so just disregard that. When you open up your MailChimp account, you'll have your audience that you want to set up, and then you'll just continue to your builder. And again, all of these are kind of the same, and you're going to be able to really just plug in your form fields here, right? So we're going to want first name, you're going to want last name, and quite honestly, that would be the only things that I put in there.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah, I can't imagine anything else.
Besides that, if you want to add to the top of your form, if you don't already have it in your website, you may want to put up something again like Campaign Pilot isn't ready to launch yet. We'll let you know once it is, right? It's like something as simple as that. Again, if you're going to have people who, if the site's live, they're coming over, you at least want to start the signups, then you can adjust some of the width. And listen, you can even take this in embed form, right? And again, everybody who's listening to this and, who's really engaged, take the embed form, take the code, throw it in AI, right? Throw it into something and have it stylized if you want it to be more stylized for your website.
Yeah, I imagine you can just take the embed form and just plug it into Lovable and say, put this on the index page and the 3 landing pages, maybe.
100%. So it's like if I want to go even to Claude and be like, can you embed this form on an example landing page for me? Like, let's just see what it, I just wanted to spit something out just so we can see. Sure, it'll create an engaging landing page for us. So let's see what it looks like. And while it's doing that, I'm going to go back to all forms. I'm actually going to, let's wait for this to build it out first. I'd rather see that first. What else do we have on here, Charlie, that we wanted to go through too?
Yeah, so let's say that somebody comes on here, and by on here I mean Campaign Pilots. They say, okay, I'm tired of building these reports. They sign up. Okay, I want to know once it's live, what happens after that? Like, what kind of sequence should there be?
Yeah. Okay. Cool. And then you can see this here on my screen now too. This landing page. Okay. So this is what Claude kind of came up with at the moment, right? Like very quick Campaign Pilot. Again, email address, first name, last name, get early access. That should, as long as Claude didn't mess up any of the code, it should activate somebody to go into, again, this audience right here. So what I would always do too, and I'll answer your question in just a second, Charlie, but what I would always do is always just test your stuff. Early access. Let's see if this works. See, so it doesn't submit. And that's why we test things out. So, good.
At this point, it seems like a Claude error of I guess we could find out by looking at the logs, but.
Correct, we could. And listen, again, not to take up too much time and sitting here and trying to force an embed to occur. Let's just create a new form and let's just have it hosted directly on MailChimp, right? We'll call it hosted form Campaign Pilots, right? Same audience, continue to builder. We're really just trying to show the use case of how you build the form and then what you do for the follow-up, right? So let's select a very simple template here.
Yeah.
Again, they'll have pre-created templates for you. So if you really want to go crazy, you can. Campaign Pilot isn't ready yet, but we'll let you know once it is. Sign up today for email notifications, right? And then you're going to have your email address, and we'll just leave it at that, right? You want to add in your extra blocks, you can see all that stuff, great. Okay, so you click publish. This is our page right here, and let's just test this out. Just going to use, great, and let's just go to audience. Great, we can see that the sign up worked on the hosted landing page, right? So now to go back and answer your question that you asked a few minutes ago. Somebody signs up on, I'm going to close all these out. Somebody signs up on this landing page, right? So what's the follow-up here? So again, depending on where they signed up from, what your form is for, you really want to nurture them based on that. So what I would do in something like a MailChimp is I would typically create an automation. So you would go to something like automations, and each platform calls it something different. Sometimes it's a workflow or a flow or a sequence. You'll kind of figure that out as you're kind of perusing around, or you can just kind of do a quick search in it or look up some of the help documentation. But in this case, it's going to be called automations. and I'll typically build it from scratch, and I'll call this pre-launch nurture flow campaign pilots. And my trigger, and this would be for anybody else, is going to be signs up for email.
Okay.
And then you're going to filter it for the specific form that they signed up for. So in this case, because it's a landing page form, right, for MailChimp, and if it was a general pop-up form, you could also filter it by pop-up form. If it was an embedded form, you can filter it by embedded form. But since it's landing page activity is signed up on hosted form campaign pilot, you'll use that segment to only filter it to those specific people, right? Because you only want those people to get this specific nurturing message. Say you have two different landing pages, right? Maybe you have a pre-launch form, but then you have another landing page that's specific to a campaign that you're running that's for a paid service, right? And you're like, hey, we're offering this special to marketing executives, and for the next 30 days, you can pay $100 and we'll give you the next 2 years access to campaign pilots once it launches, right? You want to know the difference between those marketing executives who signed up for $100 and then the people who just signed up for the pre-launch to be notified of when it rolls out, right?
Yeah,
that makes sense, like how you want to segment it differently. So again, you really want to think through all those things just so you're nurturing it the right way.
Okay.
So after something like that's set up, contact signs up. So that's your trigger as to how somebody enters the automation. And this is where you really can start building it. And it's so easy. It's drag and drop, what they call WYSIWYG editor. And your first thing in here is going to be sending your first email, right? So right after somebody signs up, my recommendation is send them an email right away. What type of content should be in that email? Typically address it based on what they signed up for, right? Thanks for signing up. Preview text. We'll let you know once campaign pilot launches.
And you can use like Claude or...
You can use anything to generate this text. Yeah. Like I could go back in and then have them type up an email really quick for me for this, right?
Yeah, I'm thinking have like upload like your deck or like your business summary of your app, upload that into Claude as like a new project, and just basically just tell Claude to answer these.
Exactly. What I would even do is just do an about. I've done this for clients, and they even know it. Like admittedly, where I'm just like, hey, and it's a time saver. They know that, I know that, and I'm able to cut down the expense on my side, which cuts down the expense I pass over to them in terms of, hey, you want me to run the email marketing and set up automations? Give me your about us. Give me as much information and context as possible, and I'm going to come up with a 5 email sequence about you for when somebody signs up, and I plug all that into a Claude or a ChatGPT. And typically the output's great, right? You have to massage a little bit, or sometimes you have to go between different, platforms to really dial it in. But what used to take 2 days sometimes takes 2 hours, right? That's really the beauty of it. That being said, like, can you write, let's even go back over here because it'll have some of it saved. Can you write an introduction email for those who sign up for the pre-launch? And let's just see what it comes up. Oh, well, I didn't want it designed, but here we go. Okay, great.
Oh,
this
cool.
is awesome, right? Like
launch day, behind the scenes, it's different. Yeah, that's it.
Right, cool. And then you can take this, and you have the ability to go as far into this as you want in terms of how many emails. My recommendation is for a nurturing sequence for somebody who's onboarded is send them as many emails up until launch day as necessary, right? So say that if people are signing up and your launch day isn't for another 60 days, maybe make your onboarding sequence, right? Like make them, let me just do, hold on, baseball templates. So let's just find a really easy, simple one, or basic layouts will be fine. My recommendation is to send maybe at least 3 to 5 emails, right? Yeah. In the window, as long as it takes until launch. And listen, if you send out 5 emails in a 30-day span and you still haven't launched, be sure that you're sending campaign messages to them that aren't part of the automation between the time that you haven't launched up until you do launch, so that people are staying informed of when you do launch. Otherwise, you're losing them and they're not having a touch point of communication with you over that time, right? And once you're in here, the email editor, you're able to edit and add all of your text. that good stuff.
And in there, I was just going to say, like, you can include like your socials, your X, your YouTube channel,
images, all that stuff.
Yeah, Campaign Pilots. If you don't check your email, because I would just rip through these emails, like I would just hit delete. But I would watch a YouTube video.
Yeah. And you could go find tutorials on this. We can walk through how to create emails on another episode. I think that's going through a little too much, but this is the very, very simple way. Set up the lead magnet, get people in the funnel for the offer, right? And listen, if you're already rolling out the program, it's already live, or your offer is already there, what you're providing as a service, you still have your sign-up unit up there, right? Maybe you're giving them a 10% off discount for signing up for something that's of monetary value. Maybe you're giving them a free download of a white paper, right, of something they may be interested in. Whatever that is, give them something in exchange for the information, and then immediately send them out an email, push them into an automation that's going to keep them engaged with the brand for visibility, right? It's a marketing touch point for them. And ultimately, the objective is to get them to either fully sign up for what it is that you wanted them to do, to purchase the product, or again, whatever that goal is, to just read your content if ultimately you're just a content-based application or website. So it's not something to overthink. It's really this very, very simple step of, just
just get it out
and get people in the funnel and start sending the messages out. But that was a very, very simple way to put it in terms of getting it up and running.
Now, with all this in mind, we stress metrics, KPIs, analytics, performance tracking. What metrics and KPIs should a builder monitor with email marketing?
Yeah, those are good questions.
And how do you do it?
Yeah. So, you have your general ones. It's always open rates. It's always click-through rates, bounce rates, and spam complaint rates. This gets more into the email deliverability sphere. So I would definitely be mindful of that. But your open rates and your click-through rates are huge. Spam rates are huge, and bounce rates are big. So you want high open rates, as high as you can possibly get them. If they dip below, say 25%, you're in an unsafe place. It typically means that you're not landing into inboxes. Your click-through rates can vary anywhere from 0.5 to 4+%. Those are typically okay areas to live in. 0.5 is low, but I've seen plenty of email accounts that are healthy that have 0.5% click-through rates. And then your bounce rate and your spam rate both always need to be under 1%. The issue with that is if they're not under 1%, it indicates a lot of problems in terms of bad email addresses. And if you have a bad email address and you're getting a ton of bounces and a ton of spam complaints, what it does is it basically kills your domain. And so, for example, like if campaignpilots.ai is the domain, right, for the website, and you start sending out a ton of emails, but the bounce rate is 5%, the spam rate is 5%, what happens over time is Campaign Pilots, any email you send out, it's just going to go directly into spam because the bounce rate and the spam rate are so high. So those are your four to really keep an eye on.
In that same vein, could I go campaignpilots.co?
You could, but it's yes, you absolutely could, but it's still, practice still remains the same. You still want to keep an eye on those four metrics, right? Gotcha. And if you're sending from a brand new domain, it's super important to keep those metrics in a really good spot because new domains have an even harder time of keeping deliverability intact.
Oh, yeah. Okay. Now, do you look at those KPIs through the platform, or do you look at them in like GA4?
No, I'll typically look through the platform. Platforms are pretty dependable when it comes to that, except for open rates, which, there's a lot to be uncovered there when it comes to like the Apple privacy opens. It's like, this has changed everything. Like sorry, it keeps blanking out, but Apple and, the little check mark they have now where, you don't want people to know when you've opened things or cookie consent. But typically email platforms are pretty spot on when it comes to reporting in terms of opens and click-throughs, spam reports and bounces. When it comes to sessions and engagement rate and revenue, I'll typically align that with what GA4 is telling me.
Got it. Okay. All right. I think we did we miss anything? We cover most like 101.
Yeah, I think they would cover the 101 stuff. Again, it's really straightforward. Quick run through of it. I'd say honestly, it's like just get in there and start messing around with it. Even for me, it's like the most of what I've learned over time has been done within the platforms itself, right? And it's like learning through the community forums and trial and error, what I've basically gone through today, this is like your basic stuff. And if you don't have that set up, you're basically setting yourself up for failure.
Gotcha.
Get that stuff in, and everything else after that is kind of just icing on the cake in terms of, your email program.
Gotcha. Well, cool. All right. I think that about does it for this episode. Like, subscribe, and if you're listening, just watch it on YouTube because it's better. So subscribe.
Way better.
We will come back to you next week. Peace.
Cool. Later.